So these are the different types of tape that I carry with me to whether I'm in a factory, on a job site, wherever I go. I usually have all of this tape with me. I have your standard electrical tape. I have Teflon tape. I have, in this case, it's black duct tape. And then I have what's called butyl tape or mastic tape. And then there's also foil tape. These are 181 AP for the foil tape and 181 BFX for the butyl tape. And then these tools here are called, I call them squeegees, tape applicators. They are used to press the tape in once you have applied it to a seam. For example, the mastic tape is for metal seams, putting two pieces of metal duct together. The foil tape is used more for putting insulation together, and sometimes other purposes for getting small holes and covering them up, but primarily for putting insulation together. The butyl tape is for putting metal together. This is a very important thing to remember. These tapes may look very similar from the outside, but they have different purposes. And the butyl tape is very important to be used on metal to metal processes. The foil tape could be used on metal to metal if you were to run out of butyl tape, but it will not last as long as the butyl tape. Once the butyl tape heats up, it will bleed down into those seams and give you a better seal than the foil tape would. The foil tape again is used for insulation primarily. It could be used for metal to metal or other jobs, but butyl tape for metal, foil tape for insulation. Here we have the different types of screws that I keep with me on site in the factories. We have metal piercing screws. I have 3 different sizes of them, as opposed to a self-tapping screw. A metal piercing screw has a point on it that will pierce the metal and then stay tight to the screw as the screw gets further down into it. The self-tapping screw bores out a hole the actual size of the threads and therefore does not give you as tight of a fit as a self-piercing screw does. I also carry with me your basic drywall screws. I have a 2.5-inch screw, I have a 2-inch screw, and I also have a 3-inch screw. Those are used multi-purpose, but primarily when you're strapping your duct. I have 2 different types of strap depending on what I'm carrying. If I'm carrying a heavy 10-inch duct that needs to be hung in an attic or from a floor joist, or if it just needs to be held down. On the metal piercing screws, I carry 3 different sizes. I have a 1/2-inch, 3/4-inch, and 1-inch screws. The 1/2-inch screws are primarily for putting duct to duct together. The 3/4 is kind of a generic. Sometimes you have to drill through the insulation and through the metal. And then the 1-inch screws are primarily used for screwing or applying the takeoffs to the metal, and having the 1-inch screw gives you enough to go through the insulation and give you a tight fit down through the metal without stripping out the screws that the shorter ones have a tendency to do. So therefore you would like to use the 1-inch screw for takeoffs, the 1/2-inch screws for metal to metal, and then the 3/4 is kind of an all-purpose, can be used for both, but primarily for an all-purpose screw. All of these screws, the self-piercing screws, have a 1/4-inch head. You can also purchase them with the 5/16 head. There is, when we were going through the tools, there is a drill bit that I use that has an interchangeable head that can be either 1/4-inch or 5/16. You can buy those in the HVAC stores. It's a Malco tool. I have 3 different sizes of those for getting in tight spaces or longer spaces for extensions. But this is a 1/4-inch head on all of these that I prefer. It comes down to your preference. So these are the zip ties that I carry with me. I have a thinner zip tie. This is an 8-inch, usually used for thermostat wire, stuff like that. This is a thicker zip tie that we use for ducting, for holding your return flex duct on, for your couplings, which also I use a zip tie tool with that for tightening those down as tight as I can get them. I strongly suggest having that tool in your toolbox. On the thicker zip ties, I suggest that you have a 12-inch, 16-inch, 20-inch, you could get an 18-inch in there, 24-inch, all the way up to a 3-foot, 36-inch zip tie for your larger return ducts. So this is the P-trap that comes with the small parts kit that will come with your air handler. This is 3/4 inch PVC. You will have sticks of PVC. They come in 10-foot lengths. You will have to cut those down. This is the tool that you will use to cut those down with. It's just a PVC cutter you can buy at your local hardware store. So here we have, this is mastic, another word that HVAC guys call it duct butter, duct sealer, seam sealer is another term. This is applied with a brush. The duct seal is applied with a brush on the inside seams of your elbows or your T-fittings. And in some states, it's required on all seams on the interior of your ducting. I believe Maryland was one of those states. So this is one of those things that if you know the angle of your elbows, you know that your T's, those are all going to be fixed. You know that which ends are going to be crimped. You can do all of this ahead of time so that your duct sealant is dry when you go to using it, so you're not sticking your hand in it and causing a big mess. But this can all be done ahead of time, as long as you know that your elbows are in the 90-degree position or whatever position is that you need them in.
Perfect.
Do not buy a real expensive brush. I do not take the time to clean my brush. What I do is when I'm done using the brush, I stick it down into the mastic to where I pull it out and I'm ready to use it on the next job.